Dad, we're going to be on camera.
Come forward and take photos with the statue. So we'll just ask you to keep the statue in front of the statue clear.
Till someone tells you to move.
Anyway, they raised a bunch of money to help with the Nurses Association, and Andrew's still with us, and she wasn't the boss of the Saskatchewan Registered Nurses Association. Upward!
And we've got about 8 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to walk the Lieutenant Governor. His arrival will be at about 11:59. I'll start talking about 11:58, so you have a few minutes yet. Not that we're timing this with military precision at all, right?
See, spots belong to someone else. There for designated people.
Oh yeah.
Step aside.
Which is where I started.
Dad, I'm going over there close to our car area. I'm just going to hang out there.
You want me to unlock the car?
What?
Okay.
I can't bring myself to it doesn't matter where my body is, I can do the same job on the unit as I could do we had lost, so he went and bought this shirt. That the president for Ralph Dade acceptance on a time release. Yeah, just about it. I'm really glad that he might not remember you. Oh, but I'm sure you did your best. Right?
You may be seated. Your Honors, Minister Ross, Your Excellency, members of the Legislative Assembly and Parliament, Your Worship, Colonels Fortin, Coots, and Hulin, veterans, fellow members of the Canadian Armed Forces, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the viewing of the Royal Regina Rifles statue, which will be officially unveiled in Normandy, France, in June of this year. We're all lucky enough to get a bit of a preview. Now, before we begin, I would draw your attention behind you. We will shortly have a flyby of 2 Harvard aircraft from 15 Wing Moose Jaw. Now, this celebrates the historic ties between the regiment and the RCAF, both of which, of course, were there on that fateful day on June the 6th, 1944. And I think I can hear them. They're loitering somewhere. It's supposed to happen at 13:02. It is 13:01, so we've almost got it timed perfectly. It's going to come from behind us, and it's going to not fly quite directly over us. It's going to go over the water. And their wing commander is here, so I think they want to get it right. Here we go. Colonel Coots, I know you'll say good job, but I've got comms with the lead pilot. I'll say good job to them as well. Thank you for gracing us with a couple of the Harvards. I hope they weren't at the mess dinner last night and too late. Now, folks, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Jason Quilliam. I am Saskatchewan's Chief of Protocol by day, and I am a former Deputy Commanding Officer of the Royal Regina Rifles. It's a pleasure for me to be your Master of Ceremonies for today's event, providing my microphone works. Shades of last night, we had a microphone at the mess dinner that wasn't working either. It's okay. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge, of course, that the land upon which we are all gathered today is Treaty 4 territory and the home of the Métis. And we're gathered here this afternoon for an auspicious occasion, to recognize the efforts of the Royal Regina Rifles Trust in Operation CALVADOS, in the form of the statue behind me. Now others will speak to this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the efforts, and he's going to hate me for this, of Lieutenant Colonel retired Ed Stanowski, who has been leading a great group of folks who have worked extraordinarily hard to ensure that the memories of those who served and those who continue to serve never leave the public consciousness. Absolutely. Nous sommes réunis ici cet après-midi pour une occasion propice, pour reconnaître les efforts du Royal Regina Rifles Trust dans le cadre de l'opération CALVADOS. D'autres en parleront, c'est certain, mais je m'en voudrais ne pas reconnaître les efforts de lieutenant-colonel à la retraite Ed Stanowski, qui dirigeait un grand groupe de personnes qui ont travaillé extrêmement dur pour garantir la mémoire de ceux qui ont servi et ceux qui continuent de servir ne quitteront jamais la conscience publique. I will use my drill voice if I have to, but we're going to continue to try this. Now it's a pleasure for me to bring the Royal Regina Rifles Padre, Captain Jason Mills, for a blessing. Padre.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Quilliam. My name is Captain Jason Mills, and I have the distinct privilege of serving as the chaplain to the Royal Regina Rifles. What makes my role unique is I get to focus my attention on aspects of meaning, purpose, and values, and hopes and dreams in soldiers' lives. I'm also honored to come alongside of them when life seems to lose meaning or purpose, or when their hopes and dreams have been dashed. Which brings me to this moment. This statue depicts one of hundreds of Regina Rifles who stormed the beaches on D-Day, wondering whether their lives would be over by the time the sun set, wrestling with the trauma of watching their friends dying day after day while they continued their perilous advance. Their bravery, their relentlessness, their refusal to give up or back down freed people and brought the war one step closer to its conclusion. Now, respecting individual beliefs and conscience, I'd like to invite you to join me in a prayer or to take this moment as a personal reflection in keeping with your traditions and values. God of hope, thank you for the hundreds of Regina Rifles who fought for our freedom nearly 80 years ago. Thank you for those who died, those who were wounded, and those who lived to tell their stories. Thank you for their families who prayed for and supported them. Thank you for the French people who provided, still today, offer hospitality to Canadians. Thank you for those who have made it possible for the upcoming trip to France, for our regiment and its supporters. May you bless those of us who go and those of us who remain behind. May you bless our French hosts for their warmth and openness. May you bless those in this city and province who are leaders, family members, and community supporters. And God, may you make us a blessing to all those we meet. Amen.
Thank you, Padre. Now at this time, it's an honor for me to ask to come to the podium His Honor, the Honorable Russ Morasti, Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. Sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel William. Your Excellency, Mr. Ross, Mayor Masters, veterans, members, distinguished guests, family, friends, and supporters. Good afternoon, bonjour, I am honored to participate in this special ceremony commemorating the Royal Regina Rifles contribution D-Day on the beaches of Normandy, France on June 6, 1944. It is appropriate to hold this event at the Saskatchewan War Memorial, which pays homage to the people of our province who gave their lives during armed conflicts, including the Second World War. Thank you to the Royal Regina Rifles for organizing this public viewing of the Rifleman statue. It is a pleasure and privilege for us to see this beautiful bronze before it makes its journey to its permanent home in Normandy. I also want to thank and acknowledge the artist who I just met a few minutes ago for the amazing work that he's done. It will be a legacy that will last for time immemorial. I commend the Royal Regina Rifles Trust Fund and everyone involved in the funding and creation of this impressive statue. It is a powerful tribute to the service and sacrifice of the riflemen and a significant means of marking the 80th anniversary of D-Day. The statue is a lasting reminder of the extraordinary efforts of the Regina Rifles during the war. What the Royal Regina Rifles did on Juno Beach deserves to be remembered, and the Rifleman statue will help us do just that. It is important to remember our veterans and show gratitude to all Canadian military for our peaceful, democratic nation with the rights and freedoms we enjoy. And with that, I want to thank everyone for being here today to witness this viewing, both of those that are retired, particularly those who have military service, both those who are retired and those still serving. And especially today, I want to acknowledge the Royal Regina Rifles for your service at home and abroad. As our monarch's representative here in the province of Saskatchewan, it is indeed my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of His Majesty, King Charles III, King of Canada. I would also like to share these greetings in my first language of Woodland Cree, in the spirit of friendship, but also to acknowledge those Indigenous veterans and people who have passed that did not come home from overseas. We have a very close connection to the Second World War through Donna's father, who was wounded not far from Juno Beach. He was with the South Saskatchewan Regiment, so anytime we have an opportunity to participate in these types of events, it really is very meaningful on a personal level for us. Nimedwidiktin gitapita matro tamiskato and gitsogama se Charles Nestok gitsogama no mutagi taskino Canada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to invite Master Warrant Officer Rob Brown from the North Saskatchewan Regiment to smudge the statue in advance of its trip overseas. Smudging is commonly used for purification purposes. Indigenous peoples believe that the smoke from burning medicines can purify the physical space, objects, and individuals by dispelling negative energies, thoughts, and emotions. The smoke of the smudging is considered a medium for communication with the spiritual world, ancestors, and higher powers. It is believed to create a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms to facilitate connection, guidance, and protection. Le maquillage est couramment utilisé à des fins de purification. Les peuples autochtones croient que la fumée des médecines brûlées peut purifier l'espace physique, les objets et les individus qui en dissipent les énergies, les pensées et les émotions négatives. La fumée du maquillage est considérée comme un moyen de communication avec le monde spirituel, les ancêtres et les puissances supérieures. On pense qu'il crée un pont entre les domaines physiques et spirituels. Et c'est un grand honneur pour moi pour inviter l'ambassadeur de France au Canada, son Excellence, M. Michel Miraillet, à la tribune pour son discours. Après son discours, je lui demanderai de rester avec moi car il y aura une présentation spéciale qui suivra. Monsieur.
Mr. Lieutenant Governor, Your Honor, dear Miss Ratti, Madame la Maire de Regina, chère Sandra Masters, dear friends, distinguished guests, and especially dear Nick Kazuska. We are all gathered here today, this afternoon, for a ceremony designed to honor both an exceptional Canadian citizen and a fantastic community. What makes a military unit strong above all is its cohesion. It is the ability of men to accept the risk of supreme sacrifice for a greater cause. The accomplishment of a mission that for some today seems both remote and out of common sense, rushing onto an enemy held beach at dawn on the 6th of June 1944. For the Royal Regina Rifles Regiment, it was Juno Beach. The regiment was the first to secure its beachhead against the 12th SS Armored Division Hitlerjugend. Far from stopping on the beach, far from considering their mission accomplished, these men continued the fight until the Germans surrendered, thus losing 458 men. They are part of the 42,000 Canadians who gave their lives, including 5,000 of them during the Normandy campaign, and who now rest on French soil. Their heroism commands respect and reminds us that freedom is never definitely won. The courage shown today by the Ukrainians in the face of Russian aggression is in line with this heritage. To ensure that the memory of this collective exploit is not lost, France will have the honor of hosting this magnificent statue to be unveiled on its soil. Like the monuments at Vimy and Beaumont-Hamel, it will serve as a reminder to younger generation of what France owes to Canada. France doesn't forget. As shown with the reproduction of the Vimy monument inlaid in the walls of the French embassy in Ottawa, France remembers. Canada's recent commitment alongside us in Mali shows that the bond is still strong and that we can work together to protect our values and our societies. 2024 is, to paraphrase President Macron, a French vintage, in that it will attract global public attention on three major events taking place in France: the Paris Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games, the reopening of Notre-Dame de Paris Cathedral, and of course the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the Normandy landings. We are working hard with the Canadian authorities to coordinate the official ceremonies, which will bring together veterans who took part in the operations, veterans who, if they haven't already done so, could receive, like you this evening, dear Nick, the Légion d'honneur, this order created in 1802 by Napoleon to honor civilians and military personnel who have rendered eminent services to France. Back in 2014, on the occasion of the 70th anniversary of the landings, France decided to award the insignia of Chevalier in the National Order of the Légion of Honor, France's highest distinction, to 300 Canadian veterans who contributed to the liberation of France. This number was doubled, then doubled again. 10 years later, more than 1,200 Canadian veterans have been identified. 80 years on, France and the French people have not forgotten their commitment and sacrifice. The upcoming joint ceremonies in Normandy and Moncton, New Brunswick, will see our political and military authorities side by side to remember them. We are working together to keep this legacy alive. And this June 6th, many young Canadians will be going to Normandy alongside veterans. A community, dear friends, is made up of people. And today we honor one man, an exceptional Canadian citizen. An exceptional citizen not so much because of his remarkable stamina and vitality, but because of his participation in the fighting of the Second World War and the liberation of France. Dear Nick, you are indeed exceptional to us. Exceptional for what you did as a gunner with the 8th Canadian Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment. You landed in France on July 27, 1944, and were seriously wounded in Normandy by shrapnel while your unit was decimated. This conflict left a deep impression on you. You are also exceptional for what you are, or more precisely for what you represent today. You carry on your shoulders the memory of your fallen regiment comrades, the memory of the 1.1 million Canadians who choose to help France regain its freedoms, 10% of the population at the time. The memory of those Canadians who gave their lives to crush the Nazi Hydra. Dear Nick, your adventure is also that of a discreet and endearing citizen. In addition to the fighting of Second World War, your life has also been marked by music, and more particularly by the stand-up bass fiddle. It was through music that you met Helen, the woman of your life, whom you allow me to salute, as well as your son, grandchildren, and niece who surround you today, Patrick, Bonnie, Brady, Janice, and others. 66 years of marriage is impressive. What's even more impressive is that you played with your band at your wife's first wedding. You married her on your return from the war, after the tragic death of her husband. At 95, Helen is still by your side, more graceful than ever. The war not only shaped your personality, it also left its mark on your family, with your wife losing one of her brothers over the islands of Malta. So you've been through almost everything. The war, family life, the years. Some attribute the secret of your longevity to your joie de vivre, a concept impossible to translate in English, I'm sorry. Others to your mother's compulsory consumption of a mixture of honey and tea. Others to your family's regular sipping of a little whiskey. No doubt these four elements have all played a role. Your Ukrainian origins make you a unique bridge between past and present. As the son of a Ukrainian immigrant who came to Canada at the beginning of the 20th century, you are a living example of the successful integration without denying your roots. Today, the whole world looks to Ukraine, your father's homeland. Once again, France and Canada are joining forces to help these courageous fighters who, like you in 1944, are fighting for freedom. Today, in a minute, I will have the immense honor of presenting you with this insignia of Chevalier de la Légion d'honneur, the most important national order of the French Republic. As I said, through you, all Canadians involved in France are being thanked. My generation, dear Nick, knows perfectly well that what it owes to the men and women who actively participated in this conflict, who for too long remained anonymous, often silent in the face of what they experienced. In this special year of commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings, this ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, is emblematic of the duty of remembrance which is mine, like that of my compatriots, and which the President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, wished to highlight through this decoration, which he awarded to you as soon as he was informed of your existence and your story. This tribute follows dozens of previous ones across Canada, from the Atlantic provinces to British Columbia and Saskatchewan. Nevertheless, for the French ambassador to Canada, as for all those here around you, it takes on a special value and emotion due not only to your age as an eternal young man, but also to this moment which allows us to recognize the inextinguishable debt we solemnly acknowledge today. On behalf of France, thank you. Monsieur Nick Krezouska, au nom du Président de la République, nous vous remettons les insignes de Chevalier de la Légion d'honneur.
It's okay, sir. You don't have to make a speech. Congratulations. $104, folks. We should be so lucky. I would now like to ask the Honorable Laura Ross, Minister of Parks, Culture and Sport, to the podium for her remarks. Ma'am.
Well, you know what? Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me begin by acknowledging the land where we are gathered is Treaty 4 territory and home of the Métis. Thank you very much for having me here today on behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan. I would like to also acknowledge His Honor, Donna, His Excellency Ambassador Michel Meret, for worship, Mayor Sandra Masters. We have in the audience, I know, quite a few MLAs from both the government and from the opposition, and I think a few MPs. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm honored to join with you today to celebrate Operation CALVADOS, to recognize the history of the Royal Regina Rifles. It's important to honor our veterans and keep alive the memories of our fallen soldiers. The brave men of the Regina Rifles hailed from nearby farms, villages, and towns, Indigenous communities, to serve and to protect our country. Now, the work that has been done by the Royal Regina Rifle Trust to recognize Our fallen soldiers, their sacrifice on D-Day has been truly incredible. And being able to see this 8-foot tall statue today before it makes its way over to France, it's an amazing way for us to be able to honor our veterans. Created by world-renowned sculptor Don Begg, this statue will be a fitting reminder of the sacrifices of the Royal Regina Rifles during World War I and World War II. The Government of Saskatchewan is proud to join in supporting the Royal Regina Rifles Battlefield Tour of Honor by investing $40,000. Now these funds will be used to help fly over servicemen and women to Normandy in June. I'd like to recognize those active and retired Royal Regina Rifles servicemen and women that will accompany this statue to Normandy and participate in the unveiling. Now having you there makes this event so much more meaningful. To all our current and retired armed forces personnel, thank you. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you to everyone for your work in participating in this project and continuing to honor our fallen heroes. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Minister. I think we found the sweet spot. I just have to point it down and it doesn't stop once. That was perfect. I would now like to invite Her Worship, Sandra Masters, Mayor of Regina, to the podium for her remarks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Your Excellency, bienvenue à Regina. Your Honors, Minister, to all the military leaders, government personnel here, to past and present military personnel, to our veterans, and to all of you who showed up today to honor them, family members, descendants. I'm very proud to see all of you here. It's quite incredible. And for any of you here, if you're wondering why you're here, the privilege of seeing His Excellency award the honor of France to a World War II veteran here. If you are not humbled by a World War II veteran, I think there's something wrong. On behalf of my City Council colleagues as well as the City of Regina, it is my honor to be here for the Operation Calvados Rifleman Statue viewing. Regina's connection to Juno Beach runs deep. Rooted in the sacrifice of people, as His Excellency said, who accepted the risk of death to liberate France. The sacrifices of the Royal Regina Rifles stormed the shores on a fateful day of June 6, 1944, playing a most crucial role in the liberation of France. I think there's irony in a landlocked prairie provinces storming the shores and being so successful. But it's their bravery, their resilience, and an unbelievably unwavering commitment to freedom, to service, to each other. It is a profoundly enduring legacy to our city, our province, and our country. And in just a couple months, this statue will find its permanent home in Juno Beach, where it will stand as an incredibly powerful symbol of remembrance, of gratitude, of honor, reminding us of the price of freedom, the courage it demands, and the bravery with which it was delivered. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Royal Regina Rifles Trust Fund for your unbelievable hard work and dedication to ensuring these memories of these heroes are not lost to time, that we maintain this connection with France, and to all of our citizens who never made it home. And just express my appreciation to Don Begg. The talents in sculpting this, the detail with which you have brought a Royal Regina Rifleman to life. This isn't a plaque. It's not a brick statue. It's a human. It's a reminder that it is human sacrifice that protects freedom. To the sponsors, to the provincial government, thank you so much. Without you, I don't think that we would be sending over the contingent we are, and The point of Operation Calvados is to maintain that connection with current existing servicemen and women to their own regiment's history. May we never forget the sacrifices of the Royal Regina Rifles. May we constantly and continuously honor those who serve in the defense of our country and our freedom. Thank you so much.
Support that we've seen from across the province. But more than that, this statue will be a permanent and enduring reminder of the sacrifice and bravery of the riflemen that stormed the beach 80 years ago. Let us remember that this mission came at a terrible cost and that victory was never preordained. We owe those soldiers our freedom and our prosperity. Were it not for their willingness to toil, to drive, and to sacrifice, the yoke of tyranny that had gripped Europe would have endured. It was through their courage that the retaking of France and the continent began, and that a horrible war was eventually ended. May we always remember them and the great cost of freedom. Up the Johns. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Colonel McKillop. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we close, I think we can't end the ceremony without acknowledging once more the amazing work done by the statue's artist, world-renowned sculptor, Don Begg of Studio West Bronze Art Foundry. Don, will you stand up, please? Now, this statue is absolutely amazing and will stand as a testament to the memories of all riflemen, past, present, and future. Thank you, Don. Now, in a moment, I will ask those who are seated if they are able to rise for the departure of the Vice-Regal Party. After they have left, we have a bit of a special request of our dignitaries. We'll get our dignitaries in the front row to stand facing that way, and then all serving riflemen will stand behind them along with Mr. Kazuska, and we just want a photo real quick. Their honors are going to come back and join us once we have everybody arranged. The folks from Brant are the ones taking the photo. They're going to arrange you. They've just asked me to make sure that everybody kind of sticks around. And then after that, ladies and gentlemen, you are more than welcome to come up, to view the statue, to get some wonderful photos, and to shake the hand of the riflemen that are here today. Folks, would you please rise? Their honors, the Honorable Russ Morasti and Donna Morasti. Right on. So we'll get our front row. Just bring it right here. Literally just right here. Riflemen! Cat 1 to 2, all of you. Harvey Wilder! Now, Colonel Stanowski and members of the trust, you should be in here somewhere as well.
Come on, Zink.
There's Jamie.
Well done, Sink.
Thank you, everybody.
Test. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. You're welcome to come view the statue.
You've been to that beach?
Would you like free food? My son already gave me this.
Good, how are you?
You don't have a shot, David. Can you hold the camera? I gotta just shake. This guy's sold it. Shake his hand.
Okay.
You want to stand? Okay, sure. Because I know you stand. And also, just watch the
Oh, yes.
Minister Ross would like to photo with you. And do you want to get in on?
No, I'm just a little too young for you, man.
Very good.
What a wonderful day. This is Dad, go now to chance.
Hold it up so nicely.
Like that?
Yeah.
And I was one of the guys that wanted to interview my
Can I shake the hand?
Yes.
Sorry, man. Let's go get a photo of you with the statue. Go stand in front of it. When those people are done, say, let's wait our turn. Sorry, he just butted. One quick one. Good job, buddy. Okay, get out of there.
going to show you something. Okay. That's the dog tag my father was wearing on D-Day.
Oh, wow. Let me get a photo of that. That's beautiful.
L27443.
That is very cool. Very.
Get to
Damn,
wear two.
I don't want to hold it, but can I touch it?
Yeah, sure.
Damn,
I was
that's
surprised.
cool.
I thought they'd be metal, but they're not. And, basically two of them, and if you're killed, so take one.
Yeah,
and
and
the
keep
other one with the body.
make sure that it's identified. I watched a huge special on how they buried people during the First World War and afterwards, and the conflict really kick-started registering the dead a lot more than they had in previous wars.
Yeah, he and his best friend were on the same landing craft,
Okay.
and they were nervously talking. And one of the things they were told was, "You stop for nothing.
No.
You do not stop for anything, or you'll both be dead."
Yeah.
And dropped her down. They got out, stepped into the water, and his best friend, that was it.
Damn.
The bullet went down face first in the water, and Dad just
Kept going. Yeah. Otherwise, it would have, Otherwise, it would have been him at the same moment as well. Yeah. No. Yeah, it's probably best for procedural for personal safety in those regards. What do you think of that statue, buddy?
That's amazing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. I want your opinion too. But I'm doing kind of a quest on YouTube. I'm visiting with him. We're going to all the war memorials in Saskatchewan and making little videos of us visiting them. And I'm also going to every cemetery and recording veterans' graves.
Good for you.
Kind of make a virtual graveyard.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were in Arnhem.
Oh.
Which was
Market Garden?
Yeah. Anyway, we run into some guys from the UK, and what they had done was similar. They'd gone to every single cemetery grave site in the world.
Oh, wow.
That was a place where the people from their town died. And this was the last one.
Oh, wow.
At Arnhem was the last one.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm trying to get, after visiting so many graveyards now, I can pretty much spot the gravestones from the car, and then I can go out there. But I'm actually reading each one, because sometimes a fella didn't take the gravestone that the government gave them. They want to be on the marker with their wife, or something a little bit more flashy, granite or whatever. So I got to read each one of them. And if you see a rank on there, then I know it was a veteran at least. Then I try to record them as well.
They recorded every single stone.
Nice.
Every single one, and we ran into them back in Arnhem. It was pretty solemn when we were at the cemetery.
Yeah.
And that's when they told us what they were doing.
That's awesome.
We were having a drink, and they wanted to know if we had ever heard of Operation Pluto. And no, I don't know. I'm beginning to think they're just going to pull my leg. And he said, well, we're the town that was responsible for Operation Pluto. That means pipeline under the ocean.
Oh.
It was a lead pipeline to haul fuel from the UK over to France after D-Day.
Okay, to make sure that they had a steady fuel supply.
You've made history.
And it
Wow.
was made out of lead. They told us it was all lead.
Well, I mean, the pipeline procedures have probably changed a little bit, but it's necessary, right? I never heard of that. I always wondered.
Yeah, if you want to Google Pluto, it actually is a real thing. I did that.
I just kind of thought they brought everything over in tankers, right? Had the boat there, and
I'm
then
sure they
pumped
did
it
do
out.
that too, especially after Antwerp.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes a little bit more sense if you had the time to lay it down, and yeah, no, that's crazy. I think that's I like logistical stories as well of supply lines and all that, and I can't stop eating that stuff up on the internet once I find it.
Dad was a company sergeant major, and one of the guys that worked with Dad was either a Métis or First Nation from Meadow Lake. I think his name was Linkletter. And they got along well. And one of the things the guy said one time when they were drunk, he
said, you know, white man crazy. Why? Okay, white man build big fire, sit long ways back. Indian build small fire and sit closer.
Well, I mean, it's an expression for sure. Yeah, what was it? I watched one video where it talked about a Native American infantryman in World War I clearing a trench in World War I, and the Germans said the Canadians are here because we saw Native American. I think they probably said red man at the time, but yeah, they were like, we know that they're here because it wasn't a white dude storming our trench.
Well, the guy was a native from up north. He was a hunter, and my dad said, I was on a farm, but I wasn't that great a shot. He said I could hit a lot with a 6-pounder, but he said I couldn't hit really all that well. And he said this guy was unbelievable without a scope. He said he could use open sights and just pick off anything. He was absolutely deadly.
Just had a touch for it.
Yep. Over there, I didn't know it until a few years ago. My wife's great uncle's name was on that. I don't know, but everybody was surprised by that. He actually lived in Ontario.
Okay.
But he had come out here in 14 to help with the harvest.
All right.
And then decided he was going to join up. They were all first generation English. And he joined up. He died in the Battle of the Somme. And I thought he'd be remembered because of his hometown in Ontario. But I'll be darned if he isn't remembered as a veteran from Saskatchewan. He joined up in Saskatchewan.
They probably the record keeping at the time. They probably should have dug a little deeper, but oh well.
Yeah, he's actually recognized in both because I saw an anniversary celebration out there, and he was actually listed as a veteran who was killed in the battle.
I found another gentleman that was from Ontario that's buried out in Fenwood, and they have a grave. It was marked on the internet, and then I looked up his files because they're all on the internet now, and I always thought that was kind of weird how maybe they didn't ship him back to Ontario to be buried, but I guess it's where you fall, kind of like where the veterans' remains of both World Wars are over in Europe now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, well, if you dropped here, this is where we were going to bury you.
That was very typical of the Commonwealth, or a lot of the countries. The U.S. Tends to not do that, but even they have cemeteries.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense, like in the 1914 and then 1945. I mean, like, we think of the logistics that would take to take the body back, but then like also refrigeration, because
you might lose it on the way.
Yeah, it's gonna, by the time it gets across the ocean with no fridge,
Is it really worth it?
It's not gonna be quite the same looking person. Definitely. So I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, like, yeah, there was a number of videos I watched that just talked about the mothers were kind of upset that they didn't get the boy mailed back home. But then if you sat down and explained it to them, it was like, well, if we did what you told us to do, it's like you might be mad even more.
Yeah, well, every single soldier, every single person in the armed forces had to actually outline what their wishes were too.
Yeah, me and the boy, we visited this memorial quite a number of times. I tried to take photos of all the names, and just really appreciate history as much as we can.
Hey there, I think I'm done working.